Welcome. My name is Miles Brown. I'm the Senior Cloud and DevOps Advisor at ExitCertified. ExitCertified's been a training company since 2001. We do a lot of cloud training, both authorized training from the major vendors, but also we do a lot of open source training on things like Kubernetes and programming language type training where there is no vendor of note. Today, I have my colleague Danny here with me. Maybe Danny, you can tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the customers that you work with.
Yeah, I'm a business development manager here at Exit Certified. I've been here for several years now. Most of my accounts are what we call named accounts. Typically, there are more enterprise level accounts that have been working with us for years and tend to do more business with us than just some of the one-offs and stuff like that. So we've established some relationships with them and expanded inside those organizations across multiple teams and that type of thing. And so I have a list of named accounts that I work with. I don't have any one vertical. They're in a bunch of different types of verticals. My accounts, and they're all over, kind of all over North America, and some of them even with some international needs from time to time, and also work a lot with the Canadian federal government as well as part of my territory.
Excellent. Well, Exit Certified has been a little bit concentrating on cloud training the last few years because that's where a lot of big needs are. And one of the things that we decided to do was build this CloudCentrix suite of products to try and explain the breadth of training offerings that we provide. I was hoping that you could speak about maybe some of your customers that have consumed products from across multiple vendors across the CloudCentrix offerings.
Sure. Yeah. CloudCentrix has been huge. It's definitely, since we've come out with this model, it's really helped. And it's so many of these types of accounts I'm working with. Like I said, I'm working with large enterprise accounts that are already familiar with us, but we're finding when we put this CloudCentrix model in front of them, there's still so much that we do that they didn't know that we did. Right. And it's become a valuable tool, not only for me, but for them too, to realize, oh, wow, you guys are hitting some of these topics. And sometimes they'll see topics that they didn't even know what they were, and they go back and find out, wow, this is something that we might be needing, or they just heard it in a meeting and didn't really know much about it, and then they see it on this CloudCentrix diagram, and they're like, oh, this is great timing. So one of my accounts that I work with is a large grocery chain account that had been doing a lot of web programming type courses, more technical training. They've done some Apple type things. They even did some Mirantis classes and things like that. So they were very much on the technical side of the house, on the CloudCentrix side. And then, but I was working with a training coordinator there, and she was sort of, gathering the needs across the organization for the different IT groups. And, she came to me or we had one of our calls, and I pulled up the CloudCentrix model and was showing her the diagram. And one of the things that jumped out at her was what we were doing around agile and safe and things like that. And she saw that and was like, whoa, wait a sec. Just came out of a big meeting where this is going to be a big initiative for us going forward, that, they had been doing some agile stuff already, kind of entry level, but now they were really wanting to hone in and get executives as well as, the different teams aligned on what does this mean, right? And how do we go to this framework? And so the timing was great when we looked at it. And it that basically spurred into several calls with our experts on that side of the house, which, agile and safe is not really, wouldn't call it technical, right? Not like what we normally do. And so it was a kind of a completely different type of skill set than what they had come to us before. And that ended up launching into several classes, several deliveries, like I said, both with director level, some executive workshops we did, plus, just training for the project people on the teams and stuff like that we're going to need to kind of go on that journey.
Yeah. I imagine that really makes a training coordinator's job easier when they can use a familiar training company, somebody like us who has a proven track record of providing high quality training for them when they have these, sort of newer needs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they just don't understand, training coordinators, they got an important job, right? They got to coordinate a lot across so many different units, and it's hard for them to kind of just keep their hands around everything that's out there. Yeah. Right. And so when they get a tool like this in front of them, that gets very easy to use and understand. And Miles, because I know you helped create it. One of the things they like too is that when you're on that PDF document, if you see a topic that you're interested in, they can click on it and it takes them right to that web page on our site. And so that helps them to really just sort of dig in. And it also helps make a tool that they can share with their business units and their business leaders, because sometimes these training coordinators don't really know everything that they, what's really needed, but they can get this in front of the doers, so to speak, and they're able to really take it and run with it and then come back. And usually that ends up becoming a call, right? That ends up being me and the training coordinator, maybe someone like you on our side, depending if we know what the topics are going to be beforehand, and then some of their people, so we can figure out, all right, what's the priorities, what are the right classes, and that can go a lot of directions, as being on some of these calls.
For sure. So. Yeah, and this idea that they're going to have lots of needs across a bunch of different topics is something we see a lot, especially in cloud. A big part of our business is people come to us because they go to AWS website looking for training. They get redirected to us because we do, we probably have the biggest schedule of public AWS classes. But once we start talking to the customers, maybe, sometimes if they send a few people, we'll have a little call with them after, make sure everything went well. What else do they need? And a lot of times once we start talking to them, we find that there's a lot of related needs. They might need Kubernetes or something else. And so I'm wondering, do you have any of those kind of customers where, we started talking about cloud, maybe AWS, and then pivoted to something else?
Yeah, in fact, I would say, not only do I have an example, but I think that's a big part of my week, right? I mean, so many people come from that background, right? Where they've been using, one of what we call the big three or the big four, right? They're coming out of AWS or Microsoft, Azure, GCP, Oracle, whatever it might be, whatever the kind of the core cloud solution is. That's sort of where a lot of them have been, or where they start. And then that segues into that CloudCentrix conversation, because that's just where their mind's been, or that's where their company's been driving them to. But then everybody kind of gets those certifications, or they kind of get them up to speed where they need to be, and it's sort of what's next, right? And so I had an organization that was it's a global security and aerospace engineering firm that I was working with, or I'm working with. That's what they did. They were big AWS, they did Red Hat, that was kind of what they were doing a lot of training with us for. And, I again, the CloudCentrix model came out, I got in touch with that manager, I kind of showed them this document, and the guy was like, wow, like, there are so many things here that we are needing, that we've talked about in team meetings, that, I did not know that you guys did. That turned into quotes and opportunities around Ansible, Terraform, Veeam, to name a few. We even talked about a custom cloud fundamentals course that we sort of put together a rough outline for, that they were looking into for some folks that were just kind of new hires and that kind of thing. And so, all that stemmed from just one, popping up one sort of diagram and talking about this CloudCentrix training model, right? And like, hey, here are some options for you that you may not have realized. And so it happens all the time, right? And it's just an awareness thing, right? Like I said before, it's just hard for them to wrap their hands around everything that's needed at all times, or they kind of get pigeonholed into thinking you one way, or like, hey, this company does this training, and that's all they sort of think about. Yeah. So it's on us, or on me and my colleagues, to sort of let them know, hey, there's more to it than that, right? And they're usually very receptive and very thankful to find that, oh, great, you've got more than that. You can help us in a lot more ways than what we thought, right? And so it's been a really helpful tool for sure.
Well, I'm glad the CloudCentrix diagram is really helping. But yeah, I think you're right. It's that discussions with those training coordinators that really help figure out, what's the breadth of what we can do, but also, that idea, you hit on that idea that we can do custom training as well. And so we're not pigeonholed just by the canned training that these cloud providers or whoever else provides. We do a lot of customization. And so I hope we can continue to help your customers and any possible new customers looking for, IT training across the board, because that's.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that, Miles. I would say that in a lot of these cases, it's not just what's on the page, right? A lot of these turn into some tailored custom classes, because that's what they really want to walk away with, right? Some of these classes have more, they don't cover everything they need, or they cover too much, and so they want to just cut out stuff. So you're right. I think, what this does is it opens up the dialogue, right? And it gets us in front of them to talk about what their pain points are. And we can either, obviously we can take it right off the shelf if that's what they want, but we can also, customize or tailor these classes specific to what they need. So, they're not wasting time and getting exactly what they want out of the class. And I would say a good portion of the time, once we get to that level, that's what happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for your time today. I really enjoyed talking to you, and hopefully we can help people out with any of their cloud related training needs in the future.
Thanks, Miles. Appreciate it.